what drives me and what makes me tick is the ability to create value.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Humans in Accounting, where firm owners share their stories behind the spreadsheets. I'm Alex Roman, and this podcast is brought to you by South Offices, connecting accounting talent across borders. Today, I'm really happy just to have our guest, Adel Senoussi, CEO of Scale Pro Advisors. And in this episode, we'll be talking with him about how he recently started his firm and explore his journey. So Adel, thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for it.
Great. Well, we know each other now. We already actually even met a few times in a few events, but I think that you have a really nice story that I want you to share. Maybe you can start a little bit because I know you didn't follow the typical path to start your accounting firm, and I think that's really interesting. If you can tell us a little bit about your background and how you decided, well, a few months ago last year, just to start Scale Pro Advisors, that'll be great. I'm interested.
Yeah, sure. Definitely not a typical path. So let me kind of think about taking a step back and starting from where I'm from. So I grew up in Egypt. That's kind of where I was raised, started my professional career there, and then I would say like I grew up in a close kind of community. I was very close to my family, close to my friends. So with my family, the experience of starting a business and taking care of people and starting something new. And it was always something that I felt that I wanted to do, but I want to do at the right time. So I started my professional career in Egypt in investment banking, worked there for 5 years. During that time, I visited New York a few times. And during that time, one of my visits, I was walking and I said, I want to live in the city. I put it as a plan. And fast forward, I would say 5 years later, I got into business school, went to Wharton, graduated from there, and I got my first job in investment banking in New York at a company called Perella Weinberg Partners. And the feeling I got when I signed my lease that, okay, mission accomplished. I'm living in that city that I really wanted to live in. Spent I would say 10 years doing investment banking, primarily doing restructuring work. So I did M&A, capital raising, but my bulk of my professional career at Perella Weinberg Partners was in restructuring, basically helping companies and creditors in distress situation, helping them when they're running out of money, they have too much debt, they need to fix something on their balance sheet. That's kind of where we came in and we kind of advise them. I really enjoyed working in restructuring because every situation is different. So, for example, you have every situation has its own set of problems, and what you tend to do is like you try to kind of diagnose the problem, find solutions for it, and then find a way to implement those solutions to help this company survive and come out of the distress situation as better. So that's kind of where I spent the bulk of my professional career and my background. And then I decided I wanted to have a different type of impact. I wanted to focus more on small businesses and explore different ways of how I can focus on small businesses. And that drove me to the idea of starting an accounting firm so that I can provide advisory services to small businesses. This actually started by my plan was not to start a business from the very beginning. My plan was to actually acquire business and use it as a platform to provide value added services to my client base. During that process, I really didn't find a business that I liked that really matched my identity. And as a result of that, I said, okay, I'll start Scale Pro Advisors. And in the meantime, I'm going to continue looking for businesses that would make sense for me and for the culture that I want to build. So I started Scale Pro Advisors in October of last year. And our mission is basically to bring the financial capabilities that tend to be kind of reserved for larger businesses in the hands of smaller businesses. Because I think that will help level the playing field, will help small businesses get certain capabilities that enables them to do what they do best, which is serve their clients, and we can be able to help them in the background, give them the right level of advice to guide them to guide them with financial knowledge that enables them to extract and create value for their clients. At the end of the day, I think what drives me and what makes me tick is the ability to create value. And I feel that working with small businesses, you can really make a big difference, because with larger businesses, although you can perceive that value is a big number that you are kind of creating, large businesses have a team in-house that is able to do a lot of the work. And then there's a lot of advisors out there that they're more than capable of doing exactly what I used to do. With small businesses, I would say like you can differentiate yourself and you can make small things that help these businesses transform. That's kind of the background and what kind of drove me to start Scale Pro Advisors.
Well, that was a a good introduction, and I have like a few questions. The first one that I don't want to forget, you said that you were evaluating the possibility, or that it was not your initial thought starting a firm, and that you had the idea of acquiring. But how? I mean, you spent some time looking for a specific firm. You had an opportunity at some point. How was that? How was that process? And when did you decide? I think I'm gonna. It's better for me just for instead of looking for the ideal firm, just start from zero. That's one question that I have.
Yeah, actually, I'll mention kind of a couple of things. One of them is my initial plan was as you said, like was to acquire a business, and for me, it was someone that is not an accountant.
Mhm.
I figured out, okay, I need to go and buy a business that have a team that can deliver the clients the services that the clients need, and they already kind of have that client base over there. And then I can come in and basically do value added services to those clients, such as like if they're doing just kind of bookkeeping work, can I come in and say, okay, can we provide advisory work? Cash flow planning, scenario analysis, profitability analysis, segmenting the different client base, putting KPIs that enables the clients to manage their businesses through kind of KPIs. I look at KPIs as the equivalent of biomarkers. Like they're there to diagnose or tell you not to, a KPI by itself does not tell you what it is. KPI is more of an indicator to tell you about the financial health of the business, that then you need to dig into it to see what does that mean. It's the same like when you go do
Absolutely.
a checkup and you have a high cholesterol. Does it say that you have a problem? No, you need to investigate it and to figure out if there's a problem or not. It's the same kind of concept. Anyway, so I the plan was to buy the business, and I looked at a number of businesses. I would say I faced a a key roadblocks. One roadblock was like I found a little bit of a roadblock from brokers because I'm not a CPA, and their point was like, oh no, we're not only going to introduce the sellers, we're going to introduce CPAs to the sellers or
Right.
existing businesses, and we're not going to introduce kind of an individual. So that's kind of was one roadblock, although a lot of these companies really did not require the CPA. If you don't have tax, you really don't require a CPA
Right.
to run kind of the business. The second component was a lot of the companies that I have seen, they were tax heavy, and I felt this a lot of these companies are doing the accounting work for the purpose of compliance. I wanted to cut companies that no, they have clients, they care about high quality bookkeeping and keeping of records, so that if you have high quality of bookkeeping, then you have quality data that you can then use to provide advisory work. The universe of companies that I've seen did not have, most of them were compliance based rather than, I would say, companies that provide quality financial information that would be able to use for advisory services. So those two reasons made me like, okay, I'll continue looking. Maybe I'll find the right opportunity. I came across someone that we both know, Michael Lee. Spoke to him a few times. He was a mentor to me during the process. But Michael, one of the things that I I heard him say, and kind of brainstormed together about, is, do I really need to buy a business? Maybe I can start one and then continue look at companies and just kind of grow the business when the time is right, when I found the right opportunity. So that's kind of what drove me to like, no, I'll get started. I'm not gonna like paralyze myself until I find one. And I'll mention in a second, in hindsight, why was this better than buying a business. But so I started Scale Pro Advisors. One of the key things for me that I really wanted to do before starting is to secure my first experienced employee. You guys were a great help for me, and you helped me hire my first employee, Mariana. She's great. She's super experienced, and it was key for me not to start without having someone that is experienced to come help me and support the client base. So thank you guys for helping me find her.
I appreciate that. I just want to ask you because I know the story, but I think it's really interesting. And I'm when you're starting a firm, day one, I want to ask you like how how did you land it to your first client, and how were you able just to orchestrate everything so that I know that you hired Mariana to South offices, but how was that process of making sure that you have the first client and have everything ready to start as soon as they sign the agreement? If you can tell me a little bit more about that, it's because I'm sure that this is something that, and I talk with other accounting firm owners, and I know that, yeah, while you're starting, not only accounting firm, but any business, you want to make sure that when you have employees, they're ready to work. You don't want to rent the place because you're not sure if you're going to sell. How did you manage this to put everything?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll get to the so when I first launched, day one, I was one when I launched, I had two clients and an employee, and people say, "Whoa, how did you do that?" And it's because I picked my launch date, right? You can launch, you can continue operating in the background, and you don't have to be like say officially launched. So how did I secure my first two clients? One of them was a client of mine on a consulting basis where I was helping them with fractional CFO work. And the I had a discussion with them is that once I launch my accounting business, they're gonna move with me to become an accounting client for the business. So that was already a discussion. We've agreed on terms, and we've done. And just were they were waiting for me to like say, okay, I started. And the other client was someone I know that have invested into a business. He was kind of the sole owner. He's the kind of the main investor or owner of that business. He's not the operator, he's the investor. And I had a discussion with him about my plans. And he said, we want to be your your first client. I had a discussion with they have a CFO, they have a CEO. I had a discussion with both of them. We agreed on terms, and it was just kind of pending of me starting the business. So I had two clients that were lined up, and when I got a sense that they're ready, this is when I approached you guys and said, like, we want to get started. And when I figured, okay, when is the start date for Mariana? This was my official like start date.
Right.
But I was doing kind of work in the background. And I think for anybody that is looking to start like their business, whether it's accounting or anything else, you have a network of people around you. Have a discussion, talk to them about what you're planning on to do, and you will see that they may commit to you to become a client, or they may refer you to someone else, and you start building that pipeline of potential clients, and then you pull the trigger. But I mean, the chicken or the egg, you have to make a decision, get started before, even if you don't have the client base.
Right.
I would say if I did not have clients that are lined up, I would probably have had to start without hiring someone in the beginning, because it becomes not because of you getting their cost, it's just because they're coming in and they're not going to be busy. And as a result of that, like they may start losing interest.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw everything from outside, even I don't know, when to launch the website. Well, what are the services that we will be offering, hiring someone, closing the first deal. So that's why I thought it was interesting. It was interesting to know. I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure that definitely your background, what you're telling now, at least I'm sure that it helped you get this first few clients. How do you feel since you're not the typical firm owner? How do you think your background is helping you specifically?
Yeah, sure. So I would say like everybody's different and
Right.
every firm is different, and what you bring to the clients would be different. Although sometimes people try to talk about like, yeah, bookkeeping or accounting is kind of a commodity. I look at it a bit different here because if you are just kind of doing bookkeeping for the sake of doing bookkeeping, yes, that's a commodity. There's a race to the bottom, and which is kind of fine because a lot of clients, that's what they need. They just need to have their books done so they can file for taxes, check the box, and that's it. What we bring to the table is more than that, is how you can use numbers in order to better understand what's happening with your business, manage your business better, and create value. Because in order
What you were saying, sorry to interrupt you, but what you were saying before with the KPIs, exactly that.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Because if you're a one-person shop, okay, great. You don't need any KPIs, right? If you're two, three people, yeah, probably you don't need. And then as you start growing as a business, what you want to do is like you can get into the details. And what you want to do is like you want to have a, as a leader of the firm, you want to have a pulse on the business. And in order to have a pulse on the business, you need to look at like indicators, keep the KPIs, and to be able to identify what is happening with the business. Is everything going according to track, to plan or not? And if yes, great, where we should double down on. If not, why? And how we can address these issues. Now, how my background relates to all of that. I would say like one of the things that I've learned in investment banking, I spent like 15 years doing investment, working in investment banking. What I've learned during that time were a number of things, but one of them is what drives value. And by understanding what drives value, you can help clients focus on things that matter for them today, that can change their business today. Because there are things that, yeah, they may be relevant, but they're not relevant to the company today. They're not going to move the needle today. They're really not relevant today. So being able to understand what drives value today and what to focus on is one thing. Second thing is I've been an advisor for 15 years. And an advisor for 15 years, you learn something. You learn that the expertise, the operational expertise, the business expertise is in the hands of the company, like the client. The client understands their business best. You're not going to tell them how to run their business, but you know how to listen, understand their objectives, propose solutions that addresses their objectives instead of coming in with a like a spectrum of services and you try to push that onto the client, because you want to listen first, understand what's important for them, and then propose things that help them achieve their objectives. It's not your objectives, it's their objectives.
Absolutely.
Working also investment banking, you learn what does it mean to become a professional. A professional services, a professional, someone who does professional services needs to be always responsive. You need to always understand how to respond to your client. Client is working under stress. You need to figure out like you need like if you're busy and you get an email addressed to you, respond. You don't have to have an answer. You just need to respond like got it, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Got it, I'll get back to you in 2 days. Got it, I'll forward it to the team member that's going to respond to you. That these things are important because you're dealing with people on the other side that are busy, stressed, and they want to make sure that they're being heard. Sometimes an email goes to a black box and someone just reads it and say, okay, I'm going to respond to it in a week. It doesn't work this way. That's kind of what I've learned of being a professional. And then there's kind of the hard skills. The hard skills are, I would say, it's the financial skill set that you develop. You develops financial skill sets enables me to, I would say, like understanding how to model things, how to like being kind of a modeling guru. I don't know, like, but being able to model things, to be able to model the right way to do a cash flow forecast, to count. I would say like restructuring. I learned in restructuring how to count cash, understanding how to build a weekly cash flow so that your clients understand they're not going to run out of money. And if they want to make decisions, they want to understand how their cash flow is going to look like over the next 13 weeks or so, or 6 months, a year, whatever it is. Being able to have a conversation with a client to build a budget for them so that and the budget is not like, hey, revenue is going to go up by 10%. No, a budget is, okay, your target is to grow revenue by 10%. Let's think this as a target, but let's go into the drivers of that and understand what do you need to do in order to achieve this. And then you build these building blocks, because if you want to track things going forward, you need to track these building blocks instead of tracking. We said we want to grow revenue by X, but we grow it only by Y, so we're off. No, you need to look at the building blocks, because that's what will help you track your performance. Also, being able to understand like how to build like what if scenarios. Someone like think about it like we're now like kind of focusing on law firms, and let's see, we got a law firm that says like, I want to hire a new associate. Can I afford to hire that new associate? You run a what if scenario and say, okay, these are the cases that you have. This is the cash flow that you're expecting from these cases. This is how much you have in the bank. This is how fast you collect your receivables from your clients. You can afford to hire a new associate if 1, 2, and 3. And then they can make an assessment if 1, 2, and 3 are realistic or not, and then make a decision if today is the right time to hire a new associate or not. These kind of a set of examples. And then I would say the last thing, which is very, very important, is attention to details. In investment banking, you work with things that are, I'll say, like I worked on deals like are multi-billion-dollar deals, and attention to details is very, very important. Some of the work I've done, especially in the restructuring world, were analyses that was used in supporting like evidence or like a support for expert testimonies in bankruptcy cases. So it kind of goes as like, I would say like support or as evidence in court. And attention to details is very, very important. And having that mentality and instilling that mentality in Skill Pro advisors, I think is valuable, because then the client understands that they're dealing with someone that cares about details, not because they care, because they're trained. Like for me, like spending 15 years focusing on details, I cannot unlearn that.
Right, right. It's something that that you're already doing it when and in your everyday life. You mentioned quickly and I was going to ask you this, if you have like a specific needs, or if you're focusing in a specific type of industry. You mentioned law firms. Are you currently working more with law firms? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of we officially decided to niche and decided to serve law firms. I mean, we're 6 months old, so we everything that we're doing is a recent thing.
Right.
We decided to focus on law firms, and that's kind of the niche that we're building. And the reason that we decided to niche because we want to learn about our clients, the problems that our clients are facing. And by having a niche, you're able to uh, dedicate and devote all your efforts in learning about the problems and the issues that your type of clients are facing. And as a result of that, you're able to provide specialized services that can address the needs of the clients. Now, when we first, I would say like a few months ago, we wanted to do like we want to focus on professional services, and what we've learned is that the issues that like a marketing agency is facing is different than a law firm is facing, is different than architects are facing. The metrics, what they care about, these things are different. Figure out like, you know what? For us to better serve our clients, we need to specialize. And that's why we picked law firms, and happy kind of go into more details of why we picked law firms in particular.
Yeah. I actually wanted just to ask you that. It makes absolutely sense just to have a niche and understand what are the things that they're going. But is there any specific reason the first few clients were law firms? You or I'm interested, or maybe it's just something that happened.
No, it's something. I wouldn't say it's something that just happened. It's not like, hey, like let's pick a name. Like we've done a lot of research. Done a lot of research. We talked with a lot of people. We were very focused on targeting and serving professional services, like basically people that are able to serve to that they sell expertise and time, and metrics that they kind of care about is kind of utilizations, kind of collections, things that if you think about how can you make them more, if you're able to increase their productivity and their efficiency, that can translate directly into something that you can quantify, like, oh, these are actually more dollars into my pocket. And that's kind of our focus was professional services. Now, what made us kind of focus on law firms in particular, I personally worked with a lot of law firms in my prior career in investment banking, in restructuring and M&A transaction, particularly in restructuring. Restructuring, we work very closely with law firms. And it's not that I've learned about their accounting processes because I work directly with the kind of attorneys, it's the large firms. Uh, but during that time, I liked interacting with lawyers. I think they're intelligent professionals, and they are people that I look at clients that people like to work with people that they like and they respect. And as a result
Right.
of that, for me, I picked an industry group that I know that I enjoyed work with attorneys before and respect their intellect. And as a result of that, that was a client base that I felt that I'd be able to connect with and be able to create more value to them. What else? The other thing is like I found it that it is easy to quantify the benefit that I can get to the lawyers. So the value of our work could be significant for law firms. Basically, increasing productivity, identifying issues that, for example, unbilled hours,
Mm.
increasing their utilization rates, for them to be able to help them understand which of their staff members are more productive than others. And it's not doesn't mean that someone is bad, someone is good. It means that
Right.
maybe someone is staffed on the wrong type of matters and cases because they're good at other things versus that person versus what they're staffed on. Or maybe they need a little bit of training, and that's an indicator, a little bit of training to improve their productivity. And once you are able to increase productivity and collection by a small amount, these things count like will translate into real dollars for law firms. Because like think about it, a lawyer, an attorney thinks about any improvement in productivity every hour they can quantify it. An hour is worth to me is worth 300, 400, 500, 600, $700 to me, depending on their billable rates. And if you're able to have them achieve that, um, then you're able to create real value for them.
Right.
The second part is that based on kind of on research and communicate and and having conversation with a number of law firms as well as people that are around law firms, I would say what I've learned is that the industry is a little bit is transforming. Lawyers today are starting to think about their business not as a practice, but rather in a business. And I would say a practice is a someone that is being a lawyer, creating a company so that they can create more or less a job for themselves. So they have a job, they hired like a few people to support them, but it's essentially a job, not a business. A lot of lawyers today are starting to think about their practice more of a business. And once you start having that thought, then having high quality financial information and having I would say like CFO, fractional CFO standing behind you, help you think about things strategically, that is needed in order to transform your business from a practice to a business. Some of these firms would come with someone that has financial capabilities. They have a CFO in-house. Then they need high quality financial information, and that's kind of what we prepare for them. Or they may come like, okay, we're not of that scale to hire someone this is a full-time CFO. Then they can leverage our services for the CFO services, and we kind of provide like the bookkeeping, the accounting services, the KPI, the data analytics, and then the CFO advisory services on top of that. So that's kind of why we decided to niche around law firms. It just felt the market is there, the need for our services there. It's not fully met today in the market. And then, but more importantly, I enjoy working with law firms with
It's a really important part of selecting to who, even internally, even with co-workers or people that you decide just to work that you enjoy having, yeah, working with everyone you select. That makes perfect sense. I don't know if you know, but when we started humans in accounting, I'm really interested in knowing more about the firm owners, about their businesses, about their stories, about the human and in accounting. And a few episodes ago, I thought it was a good idea just to start with this question that for some reason I keep on forgetting to ask at the beginning. Personally, I'm a foodie guy. I enjoy eating good food, and I'm doing my expectations is that for episode 100, I could have a ranking of all the best foods of each guest that I have, and this is the only podcast in the entire world where I ask or where we ask what's the favorite food of the guest. So this is me asking you after all this explanation. I'm gonna change direction and then we'll go back. But I need to have this detail, and I haven't asked you this before. So I'm curious, and I genuinely don't know what's your favorite food.
Yeah. So my favorite food is a is a vegetable called molokhia, and you can Google it. So it's
Yeah, I
basically
am.
molokhia is a
How do you spell that?
Molokhya, something like that. So basically,
I
and
see
I'll
it.
tell you, molokhia is in every country, like it's a very traditional Egyptian type of dish. But molokhia done in Egypt is different than done in Lebanon, different than like different places in the Middle East. But the way it's cooked, it's looks like slimy green soup,
Right.
and then you basically usually kind of put it on top of rice,
Yeah, and it has chicken as well, right?
and then you have it with chicken, meatballs, whatever it is. It's just it is pretty tasty food. I sometimes you go in a food coma afterwards, so I would say like people say don't drink and drive. I would say don't eat molokhaya and drive.
Okay, so obviously I've never tried that before. I'm looking here at 17 different pictures. They all look really tasty. I need to go to an Egyptian. It's a recipe from Egypt, you said?
Yeah, I mean, so for example, if you go to a Lebanese restaurant, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have molokhaya done differently.
Okay.
So for them, it's more like leafy, big leafy. In Egyptian, it's like it's chopped very small and then done in a soupy like form. So I would say it's different in different places.
It's
The Egyptian molokhaya is the best.
it's my personal objective now just to try that. And I'll see if I can find a good restaurant in Buenos Aires. If I find out, I'll let you I'll let you know. Then seriously, I'm gonna do this list once I get to the 100 episode. I don't know if we're gonna have
How many
this.
episodes are in
It's Molokhia. That's how you pronounce it. Okay.
molokhaya?
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for that. But I needed just to ask you that question. And yeah, I have just a few more questions, and we wrap up. I wanna let's go back to Scale Pro Advisors. I want to ask you, in this 6-7 months that you started the business, what's something that you consider like a big milestone, not necessarily big, but something that you said, all right, look, we achieved this. This is a great achievement. I thought it was going to take me longer, or it was going to take me less time. But what's something that you said, all right, I'm definitely on the correct track after these almost a year now.
That we are on the right track. I would say um, being able to serve our clients and having clients that are happy with what we are able to kind of provide for them. We are more of a high touch firm. In other words, like we have multiple kind of touch points with our clients on a monthly basis. Some clients we speak to them twice a month, some clients once a month, sometimes weekly. And I think being able to kind of serve our clients and being able to show them things that they previously didn't have it done the right way, to showing them, okay, this is how kind of it looks, and being able to always kind of find solutions for the client. I think this is a valuable thing. The other thing is finding ways to automate
Hmm.
reports. And by automating things, what I'm saying is in investment banking, working with large companies, large budgets, efficiency is not that important when you're kind of modeling work, because I mean, people have a lot of kind of funding and you charge people sometimes like you charge like big dollar amounts, and efficiency sometimes is not the key thing. When you're working with small businesses, you try to figure out, okay, how can I become more efficient? How can I develop a cash flow forecast, a weekly cash flow forecast that is easy to update? So you start thinking about how you can build that from the very beginning, and being able to achieve that and build that is kind of a checkpoint. Okay, this is another service or a product that can be that we can provide. But I think the thing that is even larger than all of that, and I wouldn't say it's a milestone or an achievement, but I think it's an important decision, is the decision to niche. It's very and we can talk in 6 months and see kind of what's the outcome of that niching kind of initiatives that we've taken. But now at least we have a very focused approach on what can is the value that we can provide to our clients, where we want to focus our training, where we want to focus our information knowledge, where we want to focus all our efforts. And having a niche enables us to be focused, because at the end of the day, being focused is valuable for our clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we'll see in 6 months. I'm also 100% agree that niching is key. But the first thing you mentioned, having a client that is happy and that it's valuing that's the value that you're giving. I think that's an achievement that it's really important. You feel like, all right, definitely we're doing this, and I have a client that is telling me, hey, Adel, thank you for this. This was something that I could have had in the past. So that's great. And well, just to wrap up, I like always just to ask as the last question is like what's an advice in your specific case, maybe in the future when someone is watching this podcast thinking about the possibility of, is this good timing just start my business, maybe not necessarily an accounting firm or maybe an accounting firm, and so what's a piece of advice that you would give someone thinking of the possibility of starting this new business, or what's a piece of advice that you would like to have received I don't know 8 months ago before going through this journey that you will value now?
So let me kind of answer the first one, which is whether it's kind of a good timing, lies on a good timing. I would say you can always say it's a bad timing, and you can say it's a good timing. You can always find excuses why it's a good time and why it's a bad time. I think anybody that's kind of making a decision, there's a decision out of necessity where like someone, oh, like I have to start a business because of necessity, right? And that would be a lot of time. People sometimes they start a business, not really a business, you're starting a job, which is fine, right? You start a job and then you can turn it into a business if you want. But I think any decisions that you want to take and decisions starting a business, think about And I'm a conservative. Like I'm not a risk taker. I'm really kind of I'm a risk averse person. And for me, it's always okay. What the worst that could happen, and that
Hmm.
happens. What does it? Would that kill me? Not kill me, but like I mean, kill me is not kill me, but more of like would that create an issue, disruption to me, to my family? Do I have enough in my kind of war chest to be able to withstand kind of a plan things that don't move according to plan? Or do I need to take on like a second job or do something on the side that enables me to extend my runway? I think it's very important to think about if things don't go according to plan, what is my contingency? What is my backup plan? And I think this is having that thought and having that plan in place makes you less stressed when you're making decisions. Some
So
people are risk takers and like there's like they go and max their credit cards and they put everything on the line and it works and it's great. I'm saying for me, someone that is a risk averse person, I had to kind of think about how can I manage my risk? How can I make sure that, okay, even in things don't go according to plan, that I would, and having, listening to people, having kind of conversations with people, taking kind of their advice. Don't take everything that people tell you and do it. Just kind of listen to it, take advice, and do that. So that's kind of, does this answer your question, or you
it
had to
does.
answer
No, no,
more?
no. It does, and it makes sense. Now, the second question: what's a piece of advice that you would now, being through this journey and this 7 months, something that you've learned that you, or maybe it's not the case, but maybe something that it would have been maybe niching on day one, but maybe no, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, niching on day one, I would say would have been better. However, I'm not sure whether I would have had the enough kind of knowledge and the lot of conversation and experience to make a decision on where to niche and niche to the right kind of segment. So
Right.
I'm not sure if I have niche, I would have niched to for like to focus on to focus to serve law firms from the very beginning. So because I've heard that I was in Intuit Connect conference, my first conference, like when I entered the accounting world, and the theme over there was all about niching, niching, niching. So I've heard that, so that advice was set, and I was like, okay, I'll niche professional services, and then that moved into accounting. But the other part, the other thing that I have learned over the last, I'll say like 2 3 weeks, no, maybe months or so. I'm thinking about it and everything when I'm doing a decision is don't try to do everything yourself. When I'm saying don't try to do everything
I like that.
yourself, don't try to learn how to do things. Know enough in order to be able to hire the right person to do the things for you. I mean, at the end of the day, like, can I learn how to become a better marketeer? Yeah, maybe. Is it the best use of my time? No.
Probably not. Yeah.
Right? Should I go and hire someone on a fractional basis that can help me with marketing? Yes,
Right.
because I'd rather spend my time on my unique capabilities, which is serving clients, like understanding their problems, being able to kind of serve them, being able to understand their problems. That's what I do best. Me going and learning marketing, you know what? Even if I learn it, I'm not going to learn it. I'm not going to be as good as someone that have done it for 15, 20 years. Same as a lot of other things. Like you don't try to go and learn things. Just kind of find who can help you achieve those things. And what's kind of interesting is a lot of people don't think about it as like this in the business. They think about it as cost. I think about it as an investment. And if I would advise someone to read a book, it would be like who not how by Dan Sullivan, and just it is a tremendous kind of high eye-opening book. And I'll put it as simple as if your car break down, you can go and Google on how to or YouTube on how to fix it. Most probably, you're gonna create another issue if you're trying to fix it versus taking it to the mechanic. Now, if you already know how to fix it, go ahead and fix it. But don't try to go and learn it. It will take you hours and hours to figure out how to solve this issue, and then you actually may not fix it the right way, and you create a problem. So just kind of take it to the mechanic if you can afford to take it to the mechanic. Again, like again, this is an aspect of Like not everybody can afford to do those things, and you may want to do things 5% because you cannot afford to do it. But if you can afford to do it, look at these things as an investment, and then evaluate your decision based on an ROI. Did I make a right investment or not? Sometimes you're going to do right investments. Sometimes you're not going to do right investments. But that's the nature of investment.
That's great. That's great advice. Then you have that KPI, and with that KPI, you can take decisions. I like that, and I agree. Adel, it was so nice having you and humans in accounting. If people now in the future, someone in YouTube is watching, I don't know, a lawyer who has this law firm and wants to reach out, they can do it at scaleproadvisors.com, or where can they reach you? I know you're active in LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, scaleproadvisors.com. They can schedule a call through the website. Happy to jump on a call and kind of learn more about their businesses and see if we are we're the right fit to help them or not. And sometimes conversation could be like, yeah, we're not ready to hire someone, but we want to kind of brainstorm. And I always say like, I'm happy to have an intelligent conversation because at the end of the day, like you're having these conversations and you need to uh, earn the trust of people before they hire you as a service provider.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone you can reach out directly with to Adel or at scaleproadvisors.com. Adel, seriously, thank you so much for participating in Humans in Accounting. And well, I'll see you around. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, Alex. Take care.
Bye bye.